Flying Over Sunset is a new musical about a trio of successful historical figures: diplomat Clare Boothe Luce, writer Aldous Huxley, and movie star Cary Grant coming together for a trip of a lifetime. We headed to Lincoln Center Theater to talk with creators James Lapine, Tom Kitt, and Michael Korie about why they wanted to tell the story of three people at a personal crossroads experimenting with LSD in the 1950s. You're developing this new musical.
I am. Hopefully it's pretty developed, Beth.
Well, yeah, because we're starting rehearsal.
That's right.
But it's got a fascinating premise. Can you give me an overview of the premise of this show?
Overview. It takes place in the 1950s. I wish I discovered that people were taking LSD, which I didn't know, because one thinks of LSD as the 1960s.
Right.
Well, Aldous Huxley, who's the man who brought LSD sort of into the zeitgeist, but along with him, that Cary Grant was a big LSD user, which surprised
Things we did not
me.
know. Yeah.
And a woman named Clare Boothe Luce, who I knew of from her politics, because she was a congresswoman and an ambassador and also an arch conservative. I thought, well, no, that's interesting. She took LSD too. I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to do a musical in which people only sing when they're on LSD?
James, what sparked this idea?
I had read the Vanity article on Cary Grant. It's a 10-year-old article, and I read it years later. I don't know how I came across it, and I started to write a play about Cary Grant. And that didn't really click, but as I was doing more research, I discovered that other people were doing it too, and I read Huxley right away. I just thought they were such fascinating people, and they all were in each other's world.
Tell me about the world of Flying Over Sunset.
Basically, it starts in the early afternoon, late morning. They take the drug, they take different doses, and then it starts kicking in differently for each of them. They get giddy, they get crazy, then they start hallucinating, then they start going down, they get angry, argue, and then they sort of level off, and by then it's sunset, and they're looking at the sunset over the Pacific Ocean.
So Tom, tell me how you figured out what the sound would be for this era and then a trip.
Well, certainly it's a wonderful era to get to write music for the 1950s, and there were a number of styles, or there are a number of styles you can draw from. I never wanted to think that I was going to be trying to work in a certain style or a pastiche, but really to just make theatrical music that would be appropriate for the period, but also could feel contemporary. I don't want to sort of be commenting on the fact that they're taking LSD, because once you do that, I fear you'll lose the connective tissue with the audience, and whatever state they're in, they're still feeling human emotions. So at the end of the day, I wanted to write music that was serving that. How I miss the shores of California, strolling on the soft white sand, sliding off my bra, pantyless in La La Land.
As they get psychologically naked, they get to confront some things from their past, whatever's haunting them, some of their ghosts. How did you come up with lyrics that would inform that dynamic?
Well, I read a lot of what they wrote or spoke. I listened to their interviews, and I just like to channel those voices and those speaking patterns. Also, they were influenced by their times. Huxley was very literate, a brilliant author, well-educated, knew classical music, knew art. Cary Grant was self-invented and spoke in the sort of glossy Hollywood parlance. And Clare Boothe Luce was another character who was, I would say, self-invented, but brilliant and political. So I would say all of those rhythms, and very probing and questioning of everything, all of that informed the rhythms of how they speak to me.
And just to put this in context a little bit more, as you said, in the 50s it was legal.
Yes.
And it was taken as a serious medical
Correct.
experience,
Yeah.
correct? So tell me a little bit about that journey, because really I think the audience is walking in with the baggage of Timothy Leary and the psychedelic era.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting that we've come full circle with the LSD being studied now and used in medical situations, but In the 50s, it was usually administered by a psychiatrist. What I like about these three very accomplished, very brilliant people was they felt unfulfilled. And they turned to the drug to find out more about themselves, and I think it was not taken frivolously.
I see a dragonfly, a sapphire dragonfly, a brilliant shimmering of iridescent wings, a flawless specimen of heaven's handiwork. If only heaven were as flawless as its being.
This is not a musical about LSD. This is a musical that feels very emotional and very deep in a way, and I wonder if you can address that a little bit.
The fact that they were in a midlife and accomplished and still were trying to figure things out, trying to understand themselves, trying to understand the world they live in, kind of spoke to me a little bit. And also, what are they going to do next? Each of them kind of were, Cary Grant had quit the movies, Claire Booth Luce had resigned as ambassador to Brazil, and Aldous Huxley, who was joined at the hip by his wife for 30-odd years, she passed away. So each of them were at a juncture of their lives trying to figure out what their next chapter is going to be, and that appealed to me.
I think the drug is what unites them. It's the vehicle, but you're right, it's not about the drug. It's about sunset. It's about reaching that time in your life where you've had accomplishments, where you've had disappointments, and you're not complete.
You knew it was going to be about deep human issues, and that LSD was going to be a vehicle to probe and to question and to look at hard truths. The way Into the Woods takes those characters, but it's not about fairy tales.
This is a cheeky question you don't have to answer. In your research, did anyone drop acid?
As they like to say, I took enough for all of us, but
I've had a bad trip or two.
Yeah, but not,
I haven't experimented.
Yeah, not recently. You never told me you had a bad trip.
I did.
Oh, okay. See, I have
You
to get
hear
in front
it
of camera
here first.
Go on, Michael. No, I'm just kidding.